Living Life Juicy podcast. Conversations with interesting people you should know.
Welcome to the Living Life Juicy podcast, where we explore how we can be present and kind as we do great things. I'm your host and guide, John Losey, and we just love introducing you to interesting people, at least people who I find interesting and I think you should know. And last episode, we spent some time with Gina Iliopoulos, and now I invite her back, like I like to do, to turn the tables and have Gina ask me 3 questions. So if you don't remember, Gina is the founder and chief horticultural specialist at Keeler Gardens. And she's in Chicago. And we had a wonderful, expansive conversation about the power of nature to impact not only lives, but communities. Now I invite Gina to say, what is she curious about with me? So Gina, you got 3 questions. And again, I promise a response, but it may not be an answer.
Okay, so your intro is about doing great things. So my question is, tell me the range of great things that the people that you've interviewed or the people that you know have done. I'm sure there's like huge things and things that might not seem as huge, but this is about people doing, what matters to them. So tell me the range of like the great things that people have done.
Yeah. Okay. I've got the range. So I love reaching out, and I've got some people, like I worked with one person in camps. A past episode is with Jill Colton, and Jill and I worked at a camp when we were both in college. She, I don't know what her latest project is, but a couple of years ago, she put out a animated movie called The Abominable. And it was, she worked with Disney animation. She's worked with Pixar. She's worked with like all these big projects. And I got a chance to talk to her as she was finishing up the press junket for Abominable. And it was crazy. It was wild. And her perspective is, when things are seem out of control, it means something great is on the horizon. So working with Jill, who is an amazing creative person. And then I've worked with some authors, I've got some really cool creative stuff of people that I've talked with, from an author who put together a book of 300 things to do with Nalgene bottles, to a former Disney Imagineer who's really influenced my creative process, Craig McNair Wilson, who helped to design and create the Disney's Tower of Terror. But interesting thing to me is he helped put together back in the 70s, when the Imagineers had been around for a while, but it's getting bigger. So he helped create the brainstorming process and creative process for Disney Imagineers. So amazing opportunities there. I've also worked with a guy, Todd Bolsinger, who runs the spiritual formation at Fuller Seminary, and talked with him. He's another camp connection, by the way, but he has amazing books on adaptive leadership. One is called Canoeing the Mountains, which is about Lewis and Clark. And so they had planned for a trip that was about canoeing across the continent, and they turned into mountaineers. So what happens when you go off the map of your leadership, when it goes beyond what your preparation was? Fascinating book. He also has a book called Tempered Resilience, which uses blacksmithing as a picture for spiritual formation. And then I've got I interviewed my brother, who started a nonprofit called Old Boney Mountain Foundation for Kids, but he puts together every year an international hot sauce competition, which is anybody who grabbed your peppers, if they have a small batch hot sauce that they make, put it into this international competition, because it's blind testing. So you can go up against the big boys and nobody knows. It's all about the quality of the sauce. So everything from like movie makers to hot sauce makers, to who else have I talked about? Oh, well, several outdoor educators, people who, I had a great time talking with Tim Walter, who had just got a book called All In Adventure Stories, and he's the guy, I say that he lives his life as a lab, because before he puts anything down, he does it himself. So everything from like blue water freediving to cross-country swimming and hiking challenges in the Rockies and the Tetons. So that's kind of the breadth of some of the people I talk to. It's honestly, like I said, my reason for putting this podcast together is so that I can listen to really cool people tell really cool stories.
Okay, question number 2. In the people that you've worked with, what have you found to be the either approaches or activities that have been most successful and inspiring, like the masses?
To inspire the masses, going with the Henry Nouwen quote, and that which is most personal is also most universal. And so it's really knowing yourself. When I'm coaching people, not just with interviews, but when I'm coaching and consulting, it's about knowing your why, knowing your purpose, which is that compelling thing that moves you into the future. Having that set and defined, not just as an organization, but as an individual, sitting there going, why am I here? What am I trying to do in my life? And along with that, you need something that keeps you from going nuts and scope creep of doing, wow, I want to do everything. And that's the mission. Your mission isn't a bumper sticker. Your mission is the thing that tells you what you do. And the people who are clear on their purpose and have refined their mission are the ones who tend to step into the world on purpose. And I think that's the biggest thing for me. The people who make the biggest difference are the ones who know what they're about. And I've brought it back, and it's very much more ethereal than creating a process. And the only way that I can explain it is, have you spent time painting a clear picture of what success looks like by knowing your why, knowing your purpose, and knowing what you do or what your mission is? That's I think the people who have that down, and sometimes it's not even that they've done it intentionally, but when you ask them, they're crystal clear on what they're about. And the people who are struggling with it, to me, it's just stepping back. And that's the first thing I ask is, well, why are you here? What's your purpose? And it's not just to breathe and take up oxygen. Usually the ones, and this is true of organizations, the ones that have a purpose beyond profit are the ones that tend to go further in the long run. That creates sustainability and resilience. And the same thing goes in what creates it. You have this compelling reason why you're here, but then you're crystal clear on what you do and how you're going to reach that vision, reach that purpose. And you say, you know what? We're going to do it by putting nature spaces in unexpected places, whatever it's going to be. So that's the common thing that I see right now.
That actually leads to my next question very nicely. So I'm hoping that you and I can work together on some strategic planning. I hope that's okay to say. And I guess the question I have is it like the standard practice in this planning process to look at each individual on the team for their individual, why do you do what you do in mission and purpose, in combination with the whole entity, or does everyone have to be on the exact same page?
Yes, and I would start when dealing with an organization. The first step is to have a defined leadership team, usually like minimum 4 people, usually like 7 to 9 people a lot of the times, to sit down and have them talk about first, why does this organization exist? And like one group, they came up with they existed to create a healthy workplace that they're proud of. Has nothing to do with what they actually do. It's actually accident reconstruction engineering firm. But their purpose for existing, they created that company to create a healthy place to work that they're proud of. And so you sit back and you just have this discussion on the leadership team of, why do you think we exist? And you refine it down to a statement of, well, we exist to do this. And it may not have to be with anything that's actually in the mission statement or what their business definition is, but it's about, we exist for this reason. And then you step back and the next question becomes, all right, well, if that's why we exist, how do we behave? And behavior is to me a better way to talk about values. Values are revealed by how you behave. So as an organization, what behaviors do we value? What really defines who we are through our behaviors? And then the next step is to say, and our mission is, or we define our business by because we do these things. Now you step back. Once you got those three, you're clear on why you exist, how you behave, and what you do. Then you need to ask the people in the room, does this fit with your own personal purpose, behaviors, and mission? And if they haven't done it yet, then they need to step back and ask themselves, does this jive with what I'm about? Now, does it have to be 100%? No. But can you see yourself operating in this environment or this organization that believes these things? So as an organization, I don't think you need to go in and make sure everybody has the exact same definition, but your organization has to be agreed on. And then they step in, and this is where it gets to the point of, if you can agree on those three things, those three opening questions, and there's some more, but if you can agree on those things, you can work with anybody who buys into those things. You don't have to start off liking them. You don't have to start off being friends. But if you know everybody's shooting at the same target in the same way, then the question becomes not, why are you being a jerk? It becomes, I don't understand how that's going to get us to where we all agree we want to be. And you have a disagreement or conflict around task, not personality, not relational conflict. Relational conflict will kill any organization, but task conflict is what brings it, it helps you refine the directions that you're going, because I assume you're trying to get to the same place I am. You're getting there a different way. Now we can talk about the differences in our approach, not our differences in personality or in relationship. And guess what? Here's the back, a lot of people think, we've got to we got to love each other in order before we can get the work done. No, what'll happen is I'll overstate it. You'll fall in love with the people on your leadership team because you're working hard towards the same goal. It may take some time, but ultimately you see leadership teams that have been together for a while that all are totally aligned on purpose and outcomes. Man, they have a bond that's really tough to break.
That's a great answer. I'm really looking forward to working together.
Well, I'm looking forward to it too, because I think, after our conversation last time and what I know of both you and Ed, I'm excited that I hope I can contribute and make a difference in the direction of Keeler Gardens, and how especially underserviced communities can get access to all the benefits of exposure to nature. So
it will help level the playing field dramatically.
Yeah, thank you so much for the wonderful questions. And again, I'll put all the connections to Gina and Keeler Gardens in the stuff there, but check out keelergardens.org if you want to find out more about the amazing stuff that they're doing, not just in Chicago, but there's opportunities all over the country, and dare I say the world. So thank you again for taking this little bit of extra time with me.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity to work together and to reach out to other interested, hopefully, champions.
Be present and kind as you do great things.